Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is the high carb diet. The high carb diet is a disaster. It's a failure. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for anybody. So all these things that I always often hear. I had a conversation with some people yesterday on the high carb diet, and they were explaining to me that the high carb diet's the worst thing ever, and when they do the high carb diet, that it never works for them. So here's the biggest problem with the high carb diet. This is the one thing that 99% of people do wrong when they do the high carb diet. They don't do a high carb diet. That's the bottom line. If you want to do a high carb diet, you need to do something like 80-10-10, 80% carbs, 10% fat, 10% protein. That diet is a true high carb diet. I was talking to people yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, carbs." Or every time I do carbs, they don't work. And to find out, they're eating all these other fatty foods in their diet. Let me explain this. If you're eating over 20% fat in your diet, no longer is that a high carb diet. You might be eating certain carbs in your diet. You might be eating certain starches. You might be eating certain fruits, but then you're turning around and having a chicken breast with cheese on your salad and a Caesar salad and something else. I'm sorry. As soon as you incorporate any high-fat food in your diet, it throws off your whole macronutrient. So the macronutrient ratio that you're looking for in a high-carb diet, again, is 80-10-10. 80% carbs, 10% fat, 10% protein. A lot of other doctors out there like McGregor and Clapper, even the Pritikin Institute, and Dean Ornish, they have programs that might go up to 15% fat in their diet. 20% is like the max. Well, if you're eating fruit in the morning, some watermelon, this and that, and let's say you have an avocado, because people love avocados, right? You have an avocado, cucumber, some fresh fruit. And then all of a sudden you're for lunch having a chicken breast. You've thrown all of your fat ratios way off. Especially if you're having a piece of cheese on something, all those calories you consumed in the morning. People say, "Oh, I ate a watermelon for breakfast." Watermelon barely has calories. Fruits and veggies barely have calories because they're carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, there's 4 calories per gram of carb. Fat, there's way more than that. So once you start eating fat, those fat calories overshadow all of your carb calories. So people that are thinking that they're eating a high carb diet are really not eating a high carb diet. Then they're blaming the carbs, and then they're getting off the carbs, and they're having a high protein diet. And if you're going on a high protein diet, I suggest you read Dr. McGregor's book. I'm not sure what it's titled. It's like 26 pages. It's a super easy read on the dangers of a high carb diet. That's Dr. McGregor. You can look him up on nutritionfacts.org. Great website. He has a great YouTube channel, and he outlines everything that are the dangerous parts of a high protein diet, especially when your body goes into ketosis. Very dangerous. But the issue is people lose weight on that diet. So they are losing weight, but are they really healthy? People that are in a famine mode are very skinny, but are they healthy? People that get cancer can be very skinny, but are they healthy? So you can't judge somebody strictly by the way they look. Now, granted, the heavier set somebody is, the less healthier they are going to be typically. But you have a lot of thin people that say, "Oh, I'm thin, I'm skinny, I'm lean, I might have some muscle on me," but you're not looking inside of their blood vessels. You can't see what's going on right then and there, inside their veins, inside their arteries, on a molecular level. You can't see that. So just because they look skinny doesn't mean they're healthy. It's super easy to lose weight on a high protein diet because you're tricking your body to go into ketosis. Ketosis is something you don't want to subject your body to. Now, on the other side, if you're going to do carbs, you have to really make sure that you're avoiding all extracted fats, like olive oil. I mean, people think, "Oh, I have these carbs are killer for me." And then they're eating olive oil with their bread and stuff, right? Olive oil with their pasta. People, that's not a high carb diet anymore. You're adding fat to it. You're adding enough fat to overshadow the carbs. Okay, our bodies are designed to digest food quickly. Well, they're designed to digest plant-based foods very quickly. As soon as you add fats, and the higher the fat, even olive oil, but if you're adding butter and things like that to your diet, and you're adding olive oil, these extracted fats, that slows your whole production, your whole digestion down. And then all of a sudden the food starts stacking on each other in your digestive tract, And that's where you all of a sudden say, well, gee, carbs don't work for me because I, this, and I'm gaining weight and I don't have energy and this. When in reality, you've loaded your body up with fat and you're blaming the carbs. And then all of a sudden you're going to turn around and say, well, I'm going to do the easy way out. I'm just going to eliminate all the carbs totally. I've talked to so many people on a low carb diet that have no energy. They're tired. They have bad breath. I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that are very well fit and trained that say, okay, I'm going to take this diet and roll with it, and they're super fit and they go with it. But again, you're blaming the carbs when you've never really experienced. My challenge to you is if you're on one of these ketosis diets and you're on one of these, breaking down protein for energy, if you're on that, if you tried the total opposite direction and went 80-10-10, you went 80% carbs, you probably perform better. That's the challenge. But if you're not willing to if you're not willing to do it right, don't take the challenge. If you haven't done it right in the past, I guarantee you that you've not done a high carb diet properly in the past. Because first of all, most people don't understand what a true carb is: a simple carb, a complex carb, a good carb, a bad carb, a starch. Dr. McDougall has a great program called the Starch Solution, and that is where he teaches you to eat starches like potatoes, rice, wheat, and he has massive success with his patients on that. Dr. McDougall, John McDougall, MD, fantastic book, The Starch Solution. Look him up, fantastic doctor. Dean Ornish, he's reversed heart disease since 1979, 1980 with his high carbohydrate diet. Pritikin did wonders in his institute, and they still do, with a high carbohydrate diet, okay? But chances are, again, you've never done a high carbohydrate diet properly, so you blamed the wrong carbs, done the wrong diet, and now all of a sudden you're out there bashing carbs. I see it happened yesterday. People are just bashing carbs up and down. It's like people have, but they don't want to even know, because once I start explaining this to them and saying, well, you've never done a high carb diet. Well, yes, I have. And when you go over what they eat, well, yeah, of course I eat chicken. Where am I going to get my protein from? And this and that. And like, you haven't done the diet correctly, so don't bash a diet you haven't done correctly. So if you're going to take the challenge and say, or speak up and say, carbs suck, carbs make you gain weight, this and that, do the diet properly and then see what happens. Because you're eating fat and you're eating carbs. Who says it's the fat or who says it's the carbs that's making you gain weight or whatever? You have no idea of knowing because you're mixing both of them together at the same time. Well, if you eliminate one of them, of course something's going to happen. There's a great program called the Condensed Food Theory Diet. The Condensed Food Theory Diet trains your body to only eat one food that has less water, which is called a concentrated food. So you want a lot of high water content foods, or you want high water foods in your diet. Things like lettuce, things like apples, things like corn, things that have a high water content. Our bodies are high water. The earth is high water, 70%. So if you eat foods that have 70% or more water, those digest easier. Well, what happens if you throw a chicken breast in or pasta in? Those are now called condensed foods. If you eat two condensed foods together, like butter and a potato, or a potato and a chicken breast, or a steak and a chicken breast, or a burger and a burger bun and french fries, those are all condensed foods. Your body can't properly digest all that low moisture food, so then you have a problem. You're going to end up with certain health issues possibly. So high carb diet, stick to the carbs, simple carbs like fruits. If you do McDougall, do starches, sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes. And go try a high carb diet. See what happens. Give it a week, give it 2 weeks. You will be amazed. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe to my channel, and definitely pass it on.